Hello and welcome to another video. In this video, I'm going to be doing a guide on Leona, and I'm going to be covering everything that you need to know to take your Leona to the next level. And that includes her abilities, combos, builds, runes, spells, and her general setup, as well as how you should be playing her in the laning phase like the early game and in team fights like the mid to late game. And at the end of the video, I'm going to be providing you with the best tips and tricks for Leona, and some of them have gotten me countless kills on Leona, and it's something that the enemies really don't expect and not enough Leona mains are doing. So if you want to see that, watch till the end of the video, and I hope you enjoy the guide, and let's get right into it. So Leona's first ability is just a stun, and the important thing to note is it's also an auto attack reset, which means that after you auto attack, if you use this skill, you can auto attack straight away. For example, that's how it looks without the auto attack reset, and when I use my first skill, it just looks like that. So you want to be using auto attacks before it, and it's just a great ability to stun, to set up CCs and ganks, and also just to peel. So Leona's second skill basically gives her a bunch of armor and magic resist, and then if it hits an enemy, the duration that it gives these stats for will be prolonged by a number of seconds. So this is just a great ability to engage with and to make yourself a bunch more tanky against both armor and magic damage, and this is just a great ability to have on Leona to engage, and also just in case you want to peel. Leona's third ability basically is a skill shot where it'll be shot in a line, and then after, if you hit an enemy, if you hit them, then it will root them and it will pull you towards them, allowing you to engage, and then after that you can follow up with like a stun and your other abilities. So it's just a great ability to gap close onto enemies and just to engage. So for Leona's ultimate, it's actually a area of effect skill where people that are hit in the center will be stunned, whereas people on the sides will be slowed by 80%, which is actually really significant. So this skill is an amazing skill for both CC and stun, and it can set up a lot of kills, especially if you hit it in the middle. And if you hit all of Leona's abilities perfectly, you'll end up landing 3 different CCs, and you can land up to 3 different CCs. So it's just really amazing how much Leona can do with her kit. And now we're going to be going into her combos. So Leona's first combo is pretty simple. It's just auto first skill auto, and it looks like this. And you want to be using it to get extra damage off of your auto reset, which is your first skill, and to stun an enemy. And this is also great for level 1 cheese and just basic CC to stun an opponent while getting off the maximum amount of damage. Leona's next combo that you can use at level 3 is first using her third skill to gap close onto an enemy. After that, you can use your second skill to give you the extra stats and defensive stats. And then lastly, you want to be using your auto attack, first skill auto attack, to finish it off and to stun the enemy. So that's your level 3 combo. Alright, so now we're going to be going for an engage that will be basically give her a bunch of defensive stats, but also allow her to deal optimal amounts of damage. So how that will work is you use your second skill first for the defense, and then your third skill, and then after you do that, you can ult the enemy, and then after that you can follow up with the optimal damage, which is auto first skill auto attack. And so that's Leona's combo that she wants to use when she wants to engage with her second skill to give her the defensive stats, and then also use her ult. Alright, so for the build on Leona, you want to be going for Zeke's Convergence as your first item, and this is a item that goes really well with Leona's ultimate and will allow her to be played really optimally, and it's just a great item on Leona and one of her core items that she wants to build almost every game. After that, you want to be going Protector's Vow, and this is really great, especially if you're against AD, which you are up against quite often in the bot lane. And if you have Protector's Vow, then you'll have a bunch of max health and armor as well as some cooldown reduction. So next we have her boot item, and the boot item I recommend is either Mercury Treads or Ninja Tabbies under the boots. And so the enchant that I would recommend is either the Locket enchant if you need that team shield and you think that there are a lot of AoE abilities on the enemy team. However, the one that I recommend really highly is the Gargoyle enchant. The reason why you want to be taking the Gargoyle enchant is because when you do take it, you'll be a lot more tanky and you can sustain a lot of damage. And when you play Leona, you want to be the main engage onto your team. So when you play her, you want to try to use the Gargoyle enchant. After that, you can take Dead Man's Plate if you're going up against AD, which gives you a bunch of max health and armor as well as a great passive. So you want to be taking Dead Man's Plate against most AD team comps. Against AP team comps, you can be taking items like Spirit Visage or something like along those lines, like Abyssal Mask or Spirit Visage or Adaptive Helm, depending on what your team comp looks like. Most of the time, I'd recommend Adaptive Helm or Abyssal Mask. So after your fourth defense item, you can be taking 2 situational items, and for those items, I would recommend taking items like Randuin's Omen if the enemy crit AD carry is fed. You can take Guardian Angel, which will revive you and be great against AD, and other items like that. If you want to watch my full itemization guide so you know how to build your champion as efficient as possible, which is really important if you're playing a tank champion, then you can go watch it. The link is on the screen and in the description down below. The rune setup that you want to be going on Leona is using Aftershock as your first rune, and what this will do is allow you to gain a bunch of defensive stats when you are engaging and deal a large burst of magic damage around you, and it just helps Leona to dish out more damage as well as have those defensive stats to engage. The second rune that you want to be taking is what I like to be taking is usually Weakness. And the reason why you take Weakness is so that you can have more damage onto enemy champions that you have stunned, slowed, or CC. So Leona has like a bunch of different types of CC in her kit, so Weakness is always a great rune with her. The other rune that you can be taking is Brutal if you want to play extremely aggressively in the early laning phase, which is not too bad. So you can either take Weakness or Brutal as your second rune. As your third rune, you want to be taking Loyalty if you want to gain that AR and MR. And this is just a great rune overall, just to get a little bit of armor and magic resist for you and your AD carry. Or you can be taking Conditioning or Backbone, which are the runes that will give you defensive stats. As your last rune, you want to be taking you can be taking either Pathfinder, which is great for roaming, and you want to be roaming a lot with Leona. You don't want to be staying passively in your lane for the entire laning phase. You want to be helping out your other lanes as well. Or you can be taking Pack Hunter, which will give you some movement speed and also 50 gold for each unique ally takedown that you get. So every kill or assist on a different enemy champion will give you 50 gold, as well as the person that killed them or assisted you also gain 50 gold. So that is the rune setup for Leona. Alright, so the best combination for Leona at the current moment, I believe, is Flash and Ignite. And this allows you to play really aggressively into the lane and allows you to really establish your lane dominance as an engaged support that has lots of CC and can set up a lot of kills, and you can finish off a lot of enemies with Ignite. It also helps you against supports that heal a lot, for example like Soraka, or if the enemy team took heal, then they can't heal through all of your damage, and it's really effective. So you want to be taking Ignite and Flash most of the time. That's your most aggressive combo of abilities. The other two spells that I can recommend if you want to be a bit more safe is Flash and Exhaust. And this still provides you with the same kind of ability to go in and engage onto enemy teams. However, this also provides you with a bit more safety against turret dives and a bit more peel for your ADC. So those are the two spell combinations I currently recommend for Leona. Alright, so my first tip for Leona is to abuse her level 1 power spike. And what I mean is try to cheese in one of the bushes in the early game. You can either cheese from the blue bush where the enemy duo is gonna come out from the blue buff if they are giving a leash or something like that. If they are gonna go through a brush, then you wanna be able to cheese them with Leona's auto first skill auto combo and deal a bunch of damage, and you can even get free kills if you combine it with aftershock and ignite. So that's my first tip for Leona, is to go for early game cheese. It can result in a lot of kills, or just chunking out your opponent and forcing them to take a bad recall or a kill later into the laning phase. So my first tip for Leona is to go for that early level 1 cheese. My second tip for Leona is to understand her cooldowns properly, and what this means is that you don't want to spam her abilities as soon as possible. Like sometimes I see someone use their first skill and straight after use their ult, and this is not the right way to play Leona. She has 3 different abilities that provide CC, and you want to be using them in a way that stuns the opponent or has them CC'd for as long as possible, and this is how you can maximize Leona's kit. So you really want to understand the amount of stun each specific ability provides and how to use it properly. So this will come with kind of experience, but you can also go into a practice tool and just experiment with her a little bit and really understand the champion, because that's how you can get the max value out of her kit. My third tip for you on Leona is to cheese inside bushes in the mid to late game. So in the early game, she does pretty well in the laning phase. However, she falls off just a little bit in the mid to late game. However, she provides so much CC with 3 different abilities providing CC that she can camp in different bushes in the enemy jungle. So you want to be taking the red sweeper trinket rather than wards and clear out enemy vision, and you can camp bushes. Like for example, if the Rift Scuttler is up in the mid game and you see the enemy jungler is gonna go try to get it, then you can just use your sweeper to clear out vision and get easy picks onto the enemy team. So this means camping the enemy jungler. This means that you should be camping enemy jungles, or also the river, and just anywhere on the map where you can be a nuisance to the enemy team. Alright, so that's it for this Leona guide. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment down below if you did make it this far. Shout out to this dude who did make it that far in my last video. So if you want a shout out in my next video, leave a comment down below. I love each and every one of you who watched this far, and these guides do take a long time to make, so I appreciate it if you do share it with your friends. If not, that's completely fine too, and I already appreciate you so much for watching this far. And with that, I want to thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye!